With the NFL offseason in the books, well, relatively. Yes, I know we're still going to go through OTAs. We're still going to go through a whole bunch of different things. But for now, when we talk about acquiring players, for the most part, that part is done. So what we can do instead of watching football right now is we can come out with our 32 NFL team power rankings. So, I really, maybe I should have named that better, but hindsight's always 2020. Never forget that. So we're going to jump right into it today, talking about our power rankings for the NFL, just kind of moving forward after the draft, that is. So at number 32, I don't think anybody can really debate with me on this one, the Houston Texans. Here's the thing, though. The Houston Texans actually had a really respectable draft. I mean, obviously, yes. I know Derek Stingley Jr., there's some question marks about as to if he can come in right away, if he can return to his, freshman year at LSU form. But I feel like he can. We talk about a guy that arguably is one of the best corners in this draft class. I'm really excited for him, and I think he could do some great things. Kenyon Green as well. Thought it was a little bit of a reach, but I do still really like the pick. You also got Jalen Pitre, John Mechie the third, Christian Harris still in the third round. So there was a lot of great picks. I honestly think your top 5 picks should all be starters this next year. There's no question in my mind. So do they have a lot of work to do? Yes, but this was a solid draft in the right direction, but clearly they are the team that needs the most work in the NFL right now, and I've still got a lot of faith in a guy like Davis Mills. Number 31, I think it's the Chicago Bears. I feel bad for the Chicago Bears, well, mainly Justin Fields, because the Bears, obviously they got some guys in the draft and everything, but the Chicago Bears, I just feel like they're in a spot right now where they really need to help out Fields a little bit more in terms of offensive line. Literally, to be in the mix for one of your starting O-lineman spots is Dakota Dozier. I'm a Vikings fan. I can tell you that's not necessarily a recipe for success. I watched this man get fooled by stunts, get bowled over. Like, this is just not it, okay? Especially if you want to keep a guy like Justin Fields upright. Trust me, I don't think Dakota Dozier's a guy, but you know what? I think obviously they've still got some work to do. I think they will figure it out, but it does come down to the fact that, the defense is respectable, obviously, but Justin Fields, I think he needs more offensive weaponry, and I think he needs, a better protection up front. And clearly, I think the Lions are in a better spot right now than the Bears are, just because of the personnel that they've gotten. They've got a solid offensive line. Their wide receiving core is tough. Their defense is improving. So, yeah, we'll get to the Lions in a bit. So, and then at number 30, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars here. They've risen up a couple of spots. They had a solid draft. I do still have some questions about Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, it's only, I'm going to kind of subdue those for a second, because it was only last year, and, he's actually got a quality coach now. Yeah, he does. You talk about, obviously, he's got some weapons in James Robinson, Travis Etienne. They got Christian Kirk in the offseason, Marvin Jones as well. So, they've got some guys, Laviska Shenault, too. Please play this guy. Just give this guy the ball. And then defensively, I really would like to see them on the outside try to get a little bit more pressure, but I'm really interested to see what they're going to do, on the outsides as well. So you got Josh Allen. You also got Trayvon Walker. So we'll see how that pick ends up. But it might be a reach. I don't know. But I do think that they're putting resources in. But for right now, they are clearly a team that is still in the rebuilding phase. But there's a lot of quality things coming away from the Jaguars. Number 29, it's got to be the New York Giants for me. The Giants, again, you got a guy like, Evan Neal and Thibodeau at 5 and 7 respectively. So they've got some guys. They had a solid overall draft, and I'm really excited to see what does happen for the Giants moving forward. But there is a lot of questions for me with Daniel Jones. Can Brian Daboll kind of revive his career in regard? Maybe. I think it's definitely possible. You also got Wan'Dale Robinson in the second round. I think Joshua Izudu, the guard out of North Carolina. I think he's going to come in and start right away and do a lot of good things for him. But it's clear to me that, if we're being honest, Jones might not be the starting quarterback. Daniel Jones might not be the starting quarterback next year. I think that's a major question, and I think that is something that we're going to have to look out for. But the Giants have some work, but this was a solid draft, a great start for, Joe Shen and company. So I was really excited about that. Number 28, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are in a spot where, okay, yes, you got your future quarterback and a guy like Desmond Ridder. You've got some quality draft picks this draft. You talk about Drake London, but I just really feel like they're in a spot where it's going to be a couple years before they compete, just pretty much like the rest of these teams, just a little bit, because I think they need some more edge presence. They got Troy Henderson at linebacker. Also, and again, they got Desmond Ridder there, in the third round as well. So, and I mean, is Desmond Ridder the guy? We'll see. But overall, they got some good guys. They got Drake London, obviously, and I think they're going to do some good things. Kyle Pitts is in the lineup too. He's a stud. So they got some guys on offense, and they also got Arnold Ekebidi out of Penn State. So some quality things to build on here, but I do think that they are obviously clearly in the rebuilding process, going to find their future franchise quarterback and their identity. Number 27, Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions are a team that I truthfully feel like are yes, they're rebuilding, and I would have kind of liked to see them take a quarterback maybe this year. I don't know, but at the same time, I mean, people forget you could win with Jared Goff. This man literally took the Rams to the Super Bowl. Now, given it was the most boring Super Bowl of all time, but he did take him to that Super Bowl. If he's got the tools, he can take you to some places. But I don't think he's going to be your franchise quarterback. He's a solid stopgap quarterback. They obviously got Jameson Williams, and they've got some other guys, in this draft that I thought will make a difference. And I am excited for it. I do think it does come down to the fact that the Lions are rebuilding quickly. I have said it too, by the way. So I'm really excited for the Lions' future. And I think it does start, again, with guys like Jameson Williams and Aiden Hutchinson as well. So, they got some guys in this draft. We'll see how it all pans out. But for right now, I've got them power ranked at number 27. At number 26, the New York Jets. Man, how much a year a difference can make. The Jets might actually sneak up quite a bit. Like, it depends. It really does all depend on a guy like Zach Wilson. You got Garrett Wilson, G-Dub there at 10. You also got a guy like Ahmad Sauce Gardner there. Jermaine Johnson the third in the draft. Breece Hall, There's just top to bottom. This was a solid draft for the Jets. Solid offseason. Helped shore up that offensive line. So Zach Wilson is going to have protection. He's going to have weapons, and he's not going to have a liability of a defense. This is going to be interesting to see what does come of the Jets. Again, I do think they start at 26 here, but they could immediately. I think they could get into the teens, the high teens, maybe the low teens as we head into the season. But there's some building going on in New York, and I'm excited for it. Let's see here. What was I? Oh, yeah. Number 25, I got to go with the Washington Commanders here. I don't get the hate. Well, actually, I do get the hate with Carson Wentz, but I also feel like he's a guy that, honestly, if he's got some solid tools around him, I think there's some things to work with. I don't think the Washington Commanders offensive line is awful by any means. They've also got some weapons, and I feel like they did enough in this draft to be able to warrant, a possible rise as we head forward into the middle of the season. But for right now, again, I do just put them in that 25 slot just because, it is going to be interesting to see what Carson Wentz does. Obviously Sam Howell could start as well, but overall, getting Jahan Dotson, Fidarian Mathis, one of my favorite defensive tackles in the draft, Brian Robinson at running back, also Percy Butler there. So, and again, Sam Howell there at quarterback. That was going to be the question. Who are they going to get at quarterback, and who is going to be that guy that came in and makes a difference? I do think Sam Howell was a steal in the 5th round, by the way. That was low-key a giant steal. Number 24, Seattle Seahawks. I feel like the Seahawks are a team that obviously they're still searching for that franchise quarterback, but I mean Sam Darnold. Oh my gosh, I'm just blanking today. Not Sam Darnold. 32 NFL teams. There's a lot of quarterbacks. Drew Lock, good Lord, help me. So yeah, Drew Lock's gonna have gonna have his work cut out for him. Clearly, he's not gonna be the starter long term. I don't see it, but I do see them bringing a guy like Kenny Walker in. A solid draft pick that I think is going to make a difference. Also, they drafted Charles Cross. They're finally getting this offensive line figured out. That's been a problem for a long time. But they've also got some weapons in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I was about to say Tyler Metcalf and DK Lockett, but sorry. Noah Fant at tight end too. So there's some weapons here. They're improving the offensive line for that future franchise quarterback. We'll see how they are able to put it together next year. Number 23, Carolina Panthers. So, obviously, getting Ike Nkwonu there at 6 was huge, improving the offensive line, getting your future franchise quarterback and a guy like Matt Corral. Their defense was young and fast. They've got some weapons. Yeah, I think the Panthers they could shock some people, too. They're a lot like the Jets. It really does all right in the quarterback. I do think if you put a guy like Aaron Rodgers or a guy like Patrick Mahomes on this team, they're a playoff team, and I do feel like it does come back to that quarterback position. Number 22, the Pittsburgh Steelers. the reason I have them rated here is because I have my questions about the quarterback position and a guy like Kenny Pickett. I do think that Chris Oladokun, I think, might be able to surprise some people in training camp. Don't know if he's going to start right away, but he's a guy that I think could come in and do some things. So I'm excited for the Steelers. They've always had a good defense. They're shoring up a lot of other areas of the team. So I am pretty excited about it in that regard. Let's see here. Number 21, the New Orleans Saints. You got a guy like Chris Olave at wide receiver. You also got Trevor Penning. I think, we talk about quarterbacks in this league. I've always liked a guy like Jameis Winston. I really have. And if you get him the solid protection, if you get him some receivers, get him some coaching, maybe he could be a franchise quarterback in this league. I don't know. He's at least a very good, I would say a very good backup quarterback. But I think he's got a chance to revive his career here with the Saints. And I think the Saints are in a good spot here. They had a solid draft. And I think there's going to be a lot to learn from for the Saints moving forward. Number 20, the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill. Yes. Jalen Waddle as well. I think overall this offense needs to take a leap forward. It's going to be at the hands of Tua. But I do think that at the end of the day, again, unfortunately, that's what it comes down to is how well you can do at the quarterback position. And yes, they got Channing Tindall in the third round this year. Also got Eric Izunama, whatever. Double E. They got double E. So they got some guys that can contribute this year. But it really is going to come down to that matchup with a guy like Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa. So I am excited for that matchup. Number 19, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I know DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games of the season, but I have made a case. I have said that I feel like a guy like Hollywood Brown can hold down the fort. And it's not like they don't have a plethora of other weapons. It's like for the first 6 games of the season last year, we were looking at this team and we were like, wow, is anybody going to be able to keep up with him? I mean, Rondale Moore was outrunning people. You had, obviously a guy like AJ Green that was, he was respectable. You also had DeAndre Hopkins that was doing some great things too. So, just top to bottom, this roster, I think it's constructed to win now. There's some players here that I think can have a big year. Guys like Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons coming up, a couple of guys that I think could do some solid things. So Cardinals, they might shock some people. We'll have to see how it all ends up, and I'm excited for them. Number 18, Tennessee Titans. Yes. Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the league. You also got a replacement for a guy like A.J. Brown and Treylon Burks. But the Titans, to me, it's crazy to think that this the game of football really does come down to one position. That was evident by Ryan Tannehill last year. They got Malik Willis as that backside guy, that potential future franchise quarterback. Got Robert Woods at wide receiver, Treylon Burks. Respectable offensive line. Top to bottom, I think this is a solid roster. I do think that they could sneak back into the AFC race, but we will have to see. If Derrick Henry can stay healthy, I think some good things could happen for the Titans moving forward. Number 17, the Minnesota Vikings. I feel like a lot of people are dogging on the Vikings. Listen, I feel like they did some good things this offseason. They've changed their identity to a degree here. You talk about having a different philosophy in terms of the draft, obviously getting Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth Jr., those guys, and shoring up that offensive line with Ed Ingram, also getting a guy like Brian Asamoah in the third, right, like was it the second pick in the third? Doesn't matter. Point is, they did some things to shore up that defense. They're going to do some different things defensively, and I think it could work in their favor. But I do think, again, the quarterback position, will Kirk Cousins elevate this team finally? Will that offensive line be good to go? Finally, we'll see. But they've got a solid wide receiver duo. They've got a solid tight end in Irv Smith Jr., who I think was injured last year, will come back. Dalvin Cook's still in the backfield. There's some solid teams, or some solid things going on with this team that I think you should be excited about. Number 16, I got the New England Patriots here. The Patriots, people need to quit being hating on the Patriots, or at least saying that Bill Belichick is washed up, or it's all the cliche Patriots hatred type of statements. They were able to put together a solid team. Mac Jones came in his rookie year and did some things. This team could turn things around pretty quickly. I know there was everybody, and not even turn things around. They made the playoffs. Come on. So I think that they're in a spot where the Patriots are going to have some things to work on. You get Cole Strange in the first, which I thought was a little bit strange. Okay, sorry about the joke. Anyway, you talk about guys that honestly there was like Tiquan, was it Thornton? There was a lot of questionable picks that I had, but it also made me think, I'm like, are we really going to question one of the best franchises? Really? Like, they made the wild card. Yes, they did lose to the Bills, but there is a lot going on with this team that I think there's a lot to build with. Bill Belichick is still one of the best coaches of all time. Number 15, the Philadelphia Eagles. Why is it not going? There we go. Nakobe Dean. I mean, just solid draft, solid offseason. You get A.J. Brown. If you can't draft a wide receiver, trade for one. Love it. Nakobe Dean, as well as a guy like Jordan Davis on the inside of Fletcher Cox replacement. Rides a lot on Jalen Hurts. What's he going to be able to do this year? He's got some weapons. He's got an improved offensive line, or at least he's got guys back, I should say. He's going to have some better defensive tools to help him out. Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, they could shock the NFC East, and they could do some things this year. Number 14, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, the biggest question to me, quarterback position, is a guy like Deshaun Watson. Is probably going to be suspended. How long? But I do think once he's back, oh boy, watch out. I think the Browns are going to be serious contenders. Number 13, the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Ryan, is he the answer over a guy like Carson Wentz? I don't know. I think he's a safer option. I do think that he's a guy that can, if not elevate this team, he can do some different things with it. He has been in a Super Bowl. I know Carson Wentz won a Super Bowl, but Matt Ryan has been in the Super Bowl. He has the experience, and I think he could be either, if not an upgrade, I think he could lead them in a better way moving forward. Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Tolbert, all those guys they got in the draft. I was a little bit shocked about Tyler Smith in the first round, but I do think they're going to replace that offensive line, and Smith I think could play guard too. So they're helping shore up that offensive line. Again, Tolbert, they've got weapons. Again, is this going to be? But the question will be, Sam Williams in the second. I think, is it going to be enough to elevate them? I think Dak Prescott has done a lot of good things for this team, but it will be a question of is what they did in the offseason good enough to elevate them. Number 11, the Baltimore Ravens, arguably the best draft in this out of the entire NFL. Again, Lamar Jackson, tools for days. Again, the Baltimore Ravens have been on the cusp. They've been on the cusp for a long time. They got a lot of defensive pieces in this draft that I think can help them out in the long run, but it will be interesting to see where they do end up. Number 10, just a little bit of a caveat here. There is all four AFC West teams are in the top 10. Wild. Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers did a lot this offseason. Now, the only thing, the question for me is right tackle. I know Storm Norton is, penciled in, if you will, but as a Vikings fan, I'm watching this man play and also watching any amount of tape. If anybody watched any amount of tape for the Chargers last year, yeah, this guy, there needs to be an immediate answer, or at least competition, please, to be able to come in. I know you got Jamari Saylor there out of Georgia. What was it, the 6th, 7th round, something like that? But I know they've got brought in a lot of guys, but there needs to be competition. It cannot just be Storm Norton starting at right tackle, please. So the Chargers, they're going to be a tough team. Their defense is massively improved. You bring in Khalil Mack, was it Kyle Van Noy as well, J.C. Jackson. Like this team could shock some people, and I'm really excited for it. Number 9, the Denver Broncos, quarterback. That was literally all they needed for a long time. And a guy like Russell Wilson, I think, could be the difference maker here. Their defense is solid. They have some guys that can play on the offensive side of the football. This was it. This was the trade they needed to make. Number 8, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, I know they're always relevant with Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, is Christian Watson going to develop fast enough? Romeo Dubes, I feel like they did enough. We made a video about them doing just enough, but I do have questions to see if they will be able to make some noise this year. Obviously they're still going to be good. They're probably still going to win the NFC North, but at the end of the day, is it going to be enough? Is it going to be, do they have the weapons to be able to, that they gave Aaron Rodgers to be able to take that next step? I don't know. I think it's a big question. Number 7, San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, drama with whatever it is with guys like Deebo Samuel. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo, is he going to be your starting quarterback? Who knows? Who knows with this team? But I feel like there's just still top to bottom. There's still one of the best rosters in football, one of the best coached teams in football. They're always going to be relevant. And I just feel like they're just a solid team all around. So we'll see if what they decide at the quarterback position and with Deebo Samuel. But a lot of good things going on with them. Number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. You want to talk about a team? I know I'm going to get some hate from AFC West fans here, but listen. Last time I checked, the Raiders beat the Chargers to go to the playoffs last year. Okay, don't live in the past, Colt. Okay. You talk about the Raiders' defense that got a lot better. We talk about a lot of the corner rooms that they were able to shore up through free agency. They didn't really draft. I don't think they even drafted a corner. So, but you got guys like Rock Ya-Sin, who I think could revive his career with the Raiders. They've still got some guys in there. They've got one of the best slot corners in the league in Nate Hobbs. Trevon Moore had a great rookie season. Also obviously to Nate Hobbs. But you got Kyler Fackrell on the edge, as well as Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. Like if we're gonna compare the two right now, if we're taking a guy like, if we're comparing the edge right now, Joey Bosa and Crosby, that's close. I would probably give I don't even know if there is an edge in that situation. They're just two very similar players. Crosby is one of the best run defensive players, or all-around players, I should say, in the league. You also got guys on the other edge for the Chargers, like a guy like Khalil Mack. I would say Chandler Jones is a better player at this point in his career. That's just the way I feel. But overall, the Raiders here, they did a lot to shore up their defense. Offensive line, I think, is vastly improved. They've got competition. That's the biggest thing here, and I think they're going to do some solid things. So I've got the Raiders at 6 here, and I'm excited to see what the Raiders do this year. Number 5, Cincinnati Bengals. I just feel like they finally got their offensive line. They got some help on that secondary. I mean, they don't need much. I mean, obviously, they just needed a little bit more help along that defensive line. But you know what? I feel like this is solid. I'm really excited about this. And the Bengals are in a spot where, honestly, they could compete for another Super Bowl. They really could. Number 4, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady back for another year. Handing things over was it to Todd Bowles. Still got weapons. Yes. The Bucs are going to be tough. We'll see if they can get it done in Tom Brady's final year. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Man, the Bills, they had a solid draft. They've got a solid team put together, but it does come down to the question for me. Will they beat the Chiefs? I know obviously they got the new rule this year for this whole thing. I feel like the NFL comes out and the rule changes at the worst possible times. You talk about the Vikings 2009 situation. You talk about the Buffalo Bills getting the end of the game situation there, like rule changes, come on. But the Buffalo Bills, they are coming. I think they could definitely take down the Chiefs this year, and I'm excited for it. So then number 2, obviously, I think is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are in a spot where, again, solid draft. I don't get it. 2 solid drafts in the row. They got, Karlaftis at 30, Trent McDuffie as well, like, Sky Moore, like just top to bottom. This was a solid draft class. Got everything they needed, and they got players at prime spots there, and you got Patrick Mahomes. This is gonna be really interesting. I'm excited to see what the Chiefs do, and I'm just excited to see how this whole thing unravels. And then number 1, Los Angeles Rams. Listen, I know, but hey, they won the Super Bowl last year, and it's just our first power ranking of the season. But I feel like they're still going to be the team to beat. And once the season gets going, these guys could definitely drop. I think the Rams could, but overall, they won the Super Bowl. Matt Stafford got out of his shell a little bit, did his thing. I was really happy to see a guy like Aaron Donald go get his Super Bowl ring too. So the Rams are still the team to beat right now. We'll see how it all ends up in the future. But that's it. That is our 32 NFL team power rankings. There's a lot that could change with these, but overall, I'm happy with how these ended up. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like, all that good stuff. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about our 32 NFL team power rankings.